Welcome to Loving God and Loving Life. In 1 Corinthians chapter 5, we find the theme being some housekeeping issues. Paul's going to clean house a little bit here, and he condemns spiritual pride. Interesting verse in verse 12 of this chapter. Paul says, it isn't my responsibility to judge outsiders, in other words, those outside the church, but it certainly is your responsibility to judge those inside who are sinning. Now, what a interesting phrase. I mean, we kind of feel like, oh man, we don't ever judge anyone or anything. But to be clear, now he's speaking here to a very small church, and they had a very public sin going on. Everybody knew what was going on at this point. Again, this is right after the church had gotten started, so it's small. They've got a man living with his own mother-in-law. And the point is that the church kind of was, Paul addresses it, says they were proud of it. They were proud of the fact, and they just kind of misunderstood grace a little bit and just kind of thought, hey man, we can live however we want to live and grace covers it all. And they were kind of flaunting this. And yeah, Paul had to bring correction to that. And, when you read through this, sometimes if you don't kind of put it in context, you kind of think, wow, Paul's saying to put this one outside of the church, let him kind of put him on a shelf for a little while and then bring him back is really what was happening. And that might sound just so foreign. It's like, oh my gosh, so judgmental, so harsh. Well, friends, again, it's so public. Everybody knows what's going on. Let's put it this way. At the church where I'm a pastor, I would certainly be one of the few that everybody knows. Let's just put it in this situation. If I'm publicly have left my wife and am living with another woman, is it just fine? I mean, we don't want to judge Pastor Brian. We don't want to judge him. And that's just fine. If that's what he chooses to do, that's just fine. My friend, if I were to pull something like that, the board at this church would have me on a shelf in about 4 minutes. Yes, and rightfully so. It's so public. Everybody knows it. And we can't set that out front of everybody and say, it's just fine. Now, what this chapter isn't saying is as a church grows, and now there's hundreds of people, everybody's got some little problem going on someplace. Paul is not saying in this chapter, throw out everybody who has a sin. There would be nobody left. He isn't talking about that. Again, remember this. It's a very public sin, and the biggest problem was they were proud of it. And he does, though, in this chapter, very clearly make the point. The Church of Jesus Christ is different. It is different than the world out there. And we do want to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We are the household of God, and his righteousness reigns in his church. And the truth is, the people that God is calling us to, they want that. They want to be a part of a community that has a higher standard. And those are the people that God's going to use us to reach and share his love with. Those are the people we're praying for. God, send me one person today to share your love with. Let's never forget, my friends, that loving God, obeying God, it's the only way to end up with a life that we truly love.